All right, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome in now Jay Sekulow, Chief Counsel of the American Center for Law and Justice, the ACLJ, and author of Rise of ISIS, a threat we can't ignore. There it is on your TV screen. Jay, Happy New Year. Welcome aboard, sir.
Happy New Year to you too, Steve.
It's my pleasure to have you on. All right, before we get to the piece you wrote regarding the UN and Israel, and I want to talk about, I was driving home the other day, it might have been Tuesday, and I heard on CBS Radio a report about a possible prisoner swap of sorts involving Iran and the U.S. government. Now, there's been denials by both parties, but in one report, I think I heard the name of Pastor Abedini, who we've talked so much about. We've had his lovely wife on so many times. And in another report, I did not hear that name mentioned at all. So can you fill us in, educate us, what you and the family might know about this, if anything?
Well, the position of the State Department right now, and what we're hearing, is that the State Department is not engaged in any discussions regarding prisoner swaps. But as you said, prisoner swaps are not uncommon. And as what they call confidence-building measure in diplomatic speak, it would not be unprecedented that if they were to release Pastor Saeed and some other Americans that are held, that the United States would release some Iranians that are being held, maybe to a neutral country. That's not unusual. That happens all the time. It's very different than a ransom. I made the statement the other day that, in a sense, the United States gave a ransom for all of these U.S. citizens being held in Iran to the tune of the lifting of the sanctions, which is about $4.7 billion of ransom. The only problem has been we got nothing in return for it except the Iranians agreeing to sit down and talk to us. And that's an awful expensive price to pay when you've got Americans still incarcerated. And that's even saying incarcerated in basically a torture chamber in Iran. But we don't know of any ongoing discussions regarding prisoner swaps. What we do know is that the State Department tells us that they bring up this situation for Pastor Saeed as the discussions are going forward. But as far as we know, the Iranians have not responded. We've had multi-party negotiations with various government entities seeking his release. Obviously, we're not letting any stone go unturned. But the truth is, right now, it was the third Christmas that the pastor was away from his family.
Yeah, and we did have his wife on prior to Christmas, and you know, as the kids get older, it just gets harder and harder. But I got to tell you, my radar went way up when I heard that announced, and I said, you know, we got to get you or his wife on to find out what's going on. All right, well, naturally, we're behind you 100% here on this show and on this network, and anything we could do to facilitate anything you need, always let us know, Jay.
Thanks.
Okay, let's talk about what the Palestinians tried to pull at the United Nations and how they, at least for now, failed. Although they're not stopping now, they want to go to the ICC.
Well, they've already filed at the ICC. So let me just get everybody kind of familiar with what happened. The Palestinian Authority, rather than continuing negotiations with Israel about really border issues and statehood, instead, they decided to go to the United Nations, where the United States and Australia ultimately voted no. They were only one vote away, however, from carrying the day. I mean, if they had, and there's new parties now on the Security Council, so things could be very different. But the Palestinian Authority's bid for statehood failed at the United Nations again, which I think did nothing but brings back the fact that, you know, we're very far away from any meaningful dialogue. And it's hard to have dialogue if I've represented the interests of Israel before the International Criminal Court in The Hague. But the fact of the matter is, it's very hard to have a dialogue when your person you're supposed to be dialoguing with is calling for your extinction. And that's, you know, Hamas is in a partnership government with Fatah. That's the way the Palestinian Authority is set up right now. They're a partner government. And one of the partners is calling for Israel's elimination. So this idea that there would be any substantive discussions, to me, is mind-boggling to begin with. But they made a ploy at the UN. It failed. So they immediately went to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Now, the thing is, and we're going to deal with this on the legal process at The Hague, at the ICC, the ICC has no jurisdiction unless, in fact, the entity that's signing on to what's called the Rome Statute, which is the authorization statute, is actually a party, is a state. They have to be a recognized state. And the court cannot do that on their own. So the fact that they failed at the UN should be enough to say, obviously, they don't have statehood. And the court, as they did in the previous case we handled, should dismiss the complaint on the basis of jurisdiction, that there is, in fact, no jurisdiction. But this is just another attempt to utilize an international medium to delegitimize the state of Israel. That's what's really going on here.
Absolutely, and I saw one report of Palestinian media already putting some kind of picture up of Netanyahu with a noose next to him, in reference to hang, hang, hang. I think it said.
Right.
It's crazy. It's the world turned upside down. Obviously, keep up the great work. Always great to talk to you, my friend. And again, Happy New Year. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, thank you. All right, folks. Up next, it's the president of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton. They never stop either. Another great group, and they have filed an amicus brief with the U.S. Supreme Court over the much-awaited, much-anticipated case against Obamacare. We'll find out what that's all about, and don't go away. It's coming next.